It is Friday morning here at Gen Con 2024, and I once again have the pleasure of chatting with the legendary Wolfgang Baur of Kobold Press. You know we're pretty tight with the Kobolds.
Oh yeah.
So, big show.
Yes.
Nice. You have a nice prime locale this year.
We're down in front.
In the parking lot now. Because you've got a massive release.
Yes.
It is
Our
one of the
biggest
talks
release.
of the show, yes.
Yes.
And of course, obviously, we're talking Tales of the Valiant, which I have reviewed both the player guide and the Monster Vault.
Book. Yes.
So I'm sure many of you have already seen those
heard about
reviews.
it. Yeah.
But if you haven't, let's talk a little bit about it.
Sure.
Well, tell me about it, man. It's your game.
Talking about it. I've been talking about it the whole show. All right,
I know, you're
Tales
probably
of the Valiant
sick of it, and it's only Friday.
No, I'm
No,
so
I mean
happy
talking about it.
I'm not going to get sick of that. It's a wonderful game. It is 5th edition with a new coat of paint in many ways, right?
Shares a lot of DNA.
Shares a ton of DNA with 5e out of the 5th edition Creative Commons, and is deliberate. We said we want to give this thing, we want to give it a little bit of love to bring it up to where people want it to be after 10 years, right? And it wasn't clear when we started this project that 5e was going to be around.
No, it was
at
clear
all.
as mud.
Yes. So we said, just to be on the safe side, we're going to have a version of 5e that stays in print so that every Kobold Press book in our booth
is
and
relevant.
every 5e book that has been put out by anyone
is still relevant.
So the thing about Tales of the Valiant is if you just want to keep playing 5e, you can, because fresh new material on that power curve for that system with those core monsters is still in print. So it's right there. At the same time, and our lead designer, Celeste Conowitch, would kill me if I didn't mention it, we took a hard look at some things that were missing.
Sure.
Right?
Or things that people have complained about over the years.
Have complained about over years, and we said, we can fix
Believe
it.
it or not, gamers do complain about games. It's amazing.
And there's this thing called house rules that seems really popular. Right? We can't stop tinkering. But our tinkering, what makes Tales of the Valiant a strong edition of 5e is the fact that we brought in 10,000 playtesters, and each of those GMs brought in 5 gamers, right? And so 50, 60,000 people kicked the tires and beat up on it for a while.
I know. I remember last year you had an entire room of playtest demos going on all throughout Gen Con.
They were sold out.
I was going to say completely sold out. I was even told I couldn't go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was more banishment and exile. No, we would make space
I wouldn't
for
take
you.
away a seat from a gamer. I'm
Right,
not
they
that
paid
kind
for
of
that.
guy.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
wanted
They
that
paid
seat.
for that.
But all that playtest means we took a look at the Ranger, and we're very proud of our Ranger. Hell, my wife plays a Ranger in our home game, right? I had to get it right.
You're right. Otherwise, you'd be sleeping on the couch.
I don't know about that, but you know, she'd give me the side eye. Rangers are important.
Yes.
Everybody loves them. The original Ranger out of 5e, nobody was happy with for many years. So we did that. We put prices on magic items, right?
Right.
We changed the power curve on core monsters so they're all a little tougher. They're at the Tome of Beasts level of the power curve now.
But first level characters are also a little tougher than 5e.
Yes, a little. But
not much, a little bit.
You can have a 5e player's handbook character and a Tales of the Valiant player's guide character in the same campaign.
Sure.
So they're that compatible. We wanted that compatibility so that you're not forced to like, oh, I got to buy a whole new set of books. I got to throw away my whatever, Horde of the Dragon Queen
or
Scarlet
I have to
Widow.
learn how to convert everything over.
The conversion, there's a sheet.
Yes, I know.
And it's 2 pages long. It's not a big sheet. And it was a design goal from the start to say, listen, it should take you about 3 minutes to go from here to there. And if you want to start a new character because you're excited about what you see in the player's guide, or you want to play a lineage that's different, like say a Kobold PC, that's in the core rules.
Right.
So in addition
Why would you want kobolds?
Oh, we're wily and clever and good with traps.
And it's the name of the...
Standing on the X, see?
Yeah, right. Oh, I missed my mark.
Playing a Kobold is fun. We did actually take them from...
I love the Kobold Press kobolds.
Right? We're a little less cowardly. We're a little more clever.
Tinkerer types.
Tinkerer types.
Yeah, right.
So that's part of the fun. Bear folk are in there.
I know.
Right? So there are new options right next to play an orc, play an elf, play a dwarf.
Right.
So it's all there, and the reaction here at the show has been great. We've once again sold out, I think, pretty much every table. Maybe there's one or two left on Sunday, I don't know. But
They still won't let me in. Even if they have seats, I'm telling you.
We're going to try to, I'll see what I can do.
You might be able to pull some
I'll
strings.
pull some strings. I know some people.
Yeah. I know a guy.
Right? We've been signing stuff. We've been showing it off. Frankly, super hyped that it's just getting a lot of play. People come by the booth, say, this is what I wanted in a glow-up for this edition.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to, discard and start over. My investment in all my 5e stuff is right there. Now it's 5e, Tales of the Valiant.
Right.
That's a good place for us to be. I think in the long run, people look at it first and say it's the same, and they scratch at it a little, and they're like, wait a minute, what is this ritual spell slot? What's that about, right? And they look at it and go, oh, that's really nice. Or why is it, Eldritch Blast is a class ability, or the performance skill for bards. Oh, this is always the way it should have been.
Yeah.
So little changes that feel authentic and true to the D&D history and tradition, that's what we got. And our playtesters really should be getting a ton of the credit.
Well, you can cut them in on the profits.
I'd love to, but
because I mean,
10,000
people
of
make
them.
so much money in role playing.
That's why we're in it.
It's love. It's all it is.
It's love.
So you're kind of touching on a question that I really wanted to address, because
Sure.
I feel I'd be letting the audience down, not asking, because I did review the player's guide.
Sure.
And I liked it, but I also pointed out that it was really similar to 5e.
And it's supposed to be.
And I understand the reasoning.
Right.
Because it's like you'd like to still be able to sell the stuff you've published over the past few years.
10 years.
Right.
And we want people to go out and say, hey, I got my copy of Curse of Strahd, but I want to be able to run it with TOV, right? I want to be able to run it going forward. So that's possible.
So why would somebody who's highly invested in 5e, but maybe they've got their quibbles,
Sure.
why would they maybe segue?
Well, some of it is the little cleanups I've been talking about, right? Some of it is, some people are just happy to support a small operation, right? We've got a really strong community on Discord. We elevate people, we publish people for the first time as designers. The doorway to becoming a Tales of the Valiant designer is a lot wider and easier to get into than, at a larger firm.
Right.
So we're more accessible.
Another, say, company we wouldn't name. Right.
But
well, no, and I
it's
don't mean that
hard,
in a bad
right?
way.
You gotta say, we're a small but fierce company. We love our fans.
Like a Kobold.
Yeah. And the game we've produced is the cleanest, finest, most hot-rodded version of 5e there is, right? It's kind of the same question as, well, why would you have picked up Pathfinder instead of D&D 3.5, right? It's sort of that.
Yeah, because first edition is,
It's very
same
similar.
DNA.
Right? The DNA is there. So you already know how to play it,
Right.
but you're on a path to using all the Kobold options, the Tome of Heroes, the Deep Magic, the Tome of Beasts. It's all compatible.
Right.
So that's the joy of it, right? Like your Kobold Press collection, or the books you haven't even discovered yet, are all there for Tales of the Valiant. So that's the reason. We know a lot of people are going to keep playing D&D, and that's great. It's the foundation of the hobby. But we're going to say this is the Kobold way. We think some of our classes are more fun. We think some of our monsters are more terrifying.
Yeah, I love the monster.
The monster book, oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I always like the Kobold take on certain classic creatures and monsters and
Well, it
things
was mildly
like that.
terrifying to go and say, what can we do with the Etten to make it more interesting? What can we do with an ooze to make it more playable, right? So our designers tore their hair out a little bit, and in terms of art, same story. Like the Black Dragon is this snaky, swampy, you got to look at it, right? There's some great stuff in there, and I'll put it next to any other monster book, because that is one of our strengths. But honestly, the amount of playtests that went into the player's guide, some stuff that looks weird. When I first saw Luck, as a mechanic. I said, this is fiddly. You're making me, the game master, do something. And then I read it again, and I'm like, no, the players have to track this.
Right.
I don't have to do anything.
I just sit back and run my game.
Yeah, have fun with your luck points, guys. And now I'm like, oh, thank goodness. They get to do something. They track that resource. And I just say, once in a while, well, you blew it by, a point or two. You got any luck to spend? And I go, yes. Oh, thank goodness. So that mechanic won me over in play, whereas on the page, I was
just sort of,
I'm not sure. And I mean, we've all seen mechanics like this, where it's like, how many dice do I need to roll for this? Whatever.
It plays differently than it reads. Yeah. Everybody's run across that.
Whereas there are other bits of the book where people look at it once and they say, oh, that's the way that should have worked a long time ago.
I have one other item I wanted to address because it's on the horizon.
Sure.
It was a very successful Kickstarter. Why don't you tell the audience about that?
Are we talking about Castles and Crowns that's here at the show?
Yep.
Yes. Castles and Crowns is where we said we want to give homebrewers new tools. We want to give people royalty that's mean and villainous and awful, sample kingdoms, royal magic, royal monsters. It's a giant bag of holding for taking the upper classes either down a peg or clawing your way into them. Because how many campaigns have we been in where somebody says, hey, we cleaned up the manor house, we killed the orcs, it's ours now, we're in charge of the barony.
Now what?
Now what? Well, this is now what. It's called Castles and Crowns.
Right.
It's like how to build up guilds, downtime rules, sample NPCs at every tier of
domain play.
Yeah, it is a bit of domain play and a little bit of castle building. What's this cost?
Sure, right.
It's not a complete kingdom simulator, right?
Right.
This is not Sim Castle. But it is RPG focused, right? There are story hooks, there are sample kingdoms, there are NPCs galore. It's a great tool set, and it comes with a map folio. This is 12 wet, dry, erased battle maps, like a vineyard, and a city under siege, and a fortress, and a palace, and an audience room, and the sewers. No, the dungeons under the palace. Sewers are in the other set.
Right.
Those wet, dry, erased maps are kind of a steal, and if you're running any kind of kingdom-level campaign, you're going to find stuff to use.
Sweet. And I should point out that our audience is going to see a first look and review of that because a little bird told me that it's in transit.
Yay! By Royal Courier.
Right, yeah, there you go. So, one last thing.
Yeah?
Any final thoughts, or is there something on the horizon from Kobold Press you'd like to share with the audience?
At least two. Tonight we're up for an Emmy Award for the Kobold Guide to Role-Playing. We'll find out whether we won it or we were just happy to be nominated, right?
Did the check clear?
No, I don't know.
That's usually a good indicator.
Right. We love the Emmys. And the Kobold Guide series has won a lot. So if we don't win this year, I'll understand.
You still have the other laurels.
Right, but it's nice to be nominated.
That's right.
So we'll see. The other thing that we announced here at the show is our next Kickstarter called the Labyrinth World Book, or Enter the Labyrinth, which is, it's the Tales of the Valiant multiverse campaign setting. A little bit of it is available now in something called Guide to the Labyrinth in PDF, but the Kickstarter is a campaign, world books, monsters, magic, factions. Oh my God, it's a whole
one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's the maze between worlds, right?
Okay, but I'm going to tell you right now, you better not short us on the Midgard.
Oh, Midgard's a core world.
I know it is. I get it.
Oh, we got a Midgard release.
A lot of us love Midgard.
Oh, well, I'm also happy to announce then that a new print Midgard adventure is on the horizon. We haven't announced it yet, but it's coming.
Heard it here first.
Yes.
Sweet.
So, Midgard isn't going away. We've still got plans.
Wolfgang, as always, thank you so much for taking time out to chat.
Thanks for stopping by.
Have a great con.
Thank you. You too.